Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Now I think you can hear me. So, we can fight back. Listen, bottom line is this new ballroom is going to be called the Epstein Ballroom. You heard me. I wasn't the first person to come up with this. And thank you so much, Zoe. Oh my gosh. I do want a vanilla latte. Right now, I am drinking tea. So, the ballroom is the Epstein Ballroom. Bottom line, that is what it is. Why am I saying that? Let me explain this to you. The ginormous ballroom that Donald Trump is building, where the East Wing used to be. Yes, he is going to demolish the entire thing. Just as Chris Geidner predicted yesterday, they are now admitting, maybe by the end of the weekend, it will all be gone. The colonnade will still remain, but the entire East Wing, and I'm going to show you that. But we are going to begin to call it the Epstein Ballroom. And let me tell you why. It's not just, well, let me show you. I'm going to give you two reasons why. First, let me do the visuals. Look on the left. That is the rendering of the ginormous ballroom that Donald Trump is building during a government shutdown. And on the right is a visual from Mar-a-Lago. And so, what am I getting at here? I think you know. Who did Donald Trump party with for years at Mar-a-Lago? Jeff Epstein. Now, the vision that you just saw of Mar-a-Lago on the right, that was a renovation done, I think, after they had their falling out over that piece of real estate, not the young girl, like he claims. It was over the real estate, and that's when we think Donald Trump ratted out Jeff Epstein to the police. Now, of course, some parents wanted to complain about what was happening with their daughters, but we also think evidence is that Donald Trump was a snitch, and at that point had no use for Epstein, was angry with him because they were fighting over a particular piece of property right near Mar-a-Lago and near Jeff Epstein's home. Okay, so whatever. There was a ballroom in Mar-a-Lago that got renovated. Well, guess what happened in the ballroom? I think you know. Jeff Epstein used to hang out with Donald Trump and ogle young girls. So let's call this new place the Epstein Ballroom, shall we? Now, let me just talk to you a little more. Why? Actually, let me just put that back up. What is another reason to call it the Epstein Ballroom, right? The first reason is it's completely modeled after Mar-a-Lago. And Mar-a-Lago was a location where Donald Trump, for 15 years at least, hung out with Jeff Epstein. We've seen the pictures of them laughing and pointing at women who were dancing, right? So that is the place. We also know that Mar-a-Lago was a place where young girls, we know at least Virginia Roberts was recruited away to be sexually trafficked and raped by Ghislaine Maxwell, by Jeffrey Epstein and their friends, including, we believe, former Prime Minister Ehud Barak, right? Because it seems like in the book, she is implying that he was the one who battered her and choked her into unconsciousness. Of course, we have Prince Andrew and others. So Mar-a-Lago was a place where some of this recruiting happened, and certainly where sex offender, pedophile Jeff Epstein would hang out. Okay, that's one reason. Another reason to call it the Epstein Ballroom is because it is one of another major distraction. It's important, but it's a way that Donald Trump is trying to control the news cycle, taking a wrecking ball to the East Wing the very week, he began this the day before, right on the eve of Virginia Roberts Joffrey's book being released, right? He didn't have to start smashing it down then. So we can't forget the Epstein files. That's what we want to see. And the third reason is that this is something, I'll call it the Epstein Ballroom, because this ballroom hurts children. This ballroom is the focus of Donald Trump during a government shutdown when, in a matter of weeks, SNAP benefits, which is what we used to call food stamps, food assistance money, going to families is likely to be completely shut off. We don't even know if it's going to move forward. So it is the Epstein Ballroom. I like calling it that. I hope it sticks just like Kavanaugh stops did stick. Now there's more though. What I learned yesterday, because people are asking this question about this ballroom, right? People are asking, why does he need this? And of course he doesn't, right? He says, he wants a giant ballroom for his ego. He wants it to look like Mar-a-Lago. He wants to use it as a way to kind of shake down people. And then, they can get access and he can get money from these donors. And we're going to talk about who they are in a moment. But I came to find out yesterday another thing, which I didn't know. And that is underneath the existing, or until a couple of days ago, the existing East Wing, under the ground is deep down, a bunker. This bunker has an acronym. It's PEOC, P-E-O-C, and that stands for President's Emergency Operations Center. And there may also be a tinier bunker under the West Wing, but we know for sure, it's been documented that PEOC, the President's Emergency Operations Center, is there. That is a place, for example, that George W. Bush went after 9/11. And that is a place we believe that Donald Trump was whisked to right after his inauguration in 2017 during major protests. And maybe other times that he has been down there. Let me follow this with me for a moment. And from what I understand, and I'm going to share this with you from an Elle Decor article, right? Elle Decor magazine, an article written in 2024, that this place is a little shabby. And I don't mind shabby if my life is being saved. I don't even mind shabby if I look around at my own condo. It's, it's what it is. It's kind of cute, right? To be comfortable. That's not how Donald Trump looks at anything. This is the man who has put gold over the entire White House. Very tacky guy. This is a guy who gets an entire airplane from Qatar because he wants to have a palace in the sky. So this is also someone, I imagine, who wants to renovate the bunker, but also, of course, the bunker would get expanded, right? Because I'm sure more people are more afraid now that Donald Trump is threatening the world, and he wants a place he and his closest allies could probably hang out. So let me share that with you. Look at this. This is a rendering. And so what I'm saying is that Donald Trump is, you could say renovating, but I prefer building because of the alliteration. Donald Trump is building a big, beautiful bunker beneath the Epstein Ballroom. That's what he's doing. And fuck if it's only going to take $300 million. That's what he upped the number to now, you guys. No, it's going to be so much more money. He is spending like a drunken sailor, $40 billion to Argentina, $300 million up for his big, beautiful bunker beneath the Epstein Ballroom. So let's take a look at what I'm talking about here. Okay, this is a overview of the White House, at least until the East Wing was torn down. And you can see that on the West Wing, there is the Situation Room. Now, the Situation Room is not a bunker. It's just down the hall. It's across the way from the Navy mess in the White House. You can see in this picture where the Oval Office is. You can see where the Rose Garden used to be. You can see how there is a colonnade connecting the West Wing to the main White House, right? And then you see the other colonnade connecting the White House to the East Wing. This entire East Wing area is basically gone or will be gone by the weekend. Underneath the ground, deep down, is the PEOC, the President's Emergency Operations Center. So that is what we're talking about. Now, before I get into that Elle magazine article about what it's like down there, and by the way, I got more news than this, right? There's legal news too, but to me, this is the heart of the metaphor of what's wrong with this administration. And to the extent we can brand it as the Epstein Ballroom and his big, beautiful bunker beneath the Epstein Ballroom, I'm going to like it a lot more. Now, let's take a look. This is from the New York Times today. And this is showing you how the White House as it stood, right? This is a nice sort of aerial shot, but you can also see some of the, across some of the dimensions. So you have, everything here is called the White House. I've been calling the center of the White House. I should be calling that the executive residence, right? But all the parties and things are in there. So you can see here this, the East Wing. This is where the First Lady would traditionally have their offices and staff, and the visitor's office, right? That's the visitor's entrance. And now we can see what it's going to look like. So here it was before, and here is the Epstein Ballroom with the big, beautiful bunker beneath. Now, it's not lost on anyone that the women's part of the White House, the East Wing, is being demolished. Now, of course, hopefully he won't demolish the West Wing, but he's demolishing that, even though he promised, as people said, that he wouldn't even touch it. Here's the deal, and I've been saying this for I don't know how long. Words, it's wrong to say that every time Donald Trump's mouth moves, he's lying. That's not correct. Words to Donald Trump don't have to convey true meaning. He uses words to get what he wants, like a claw. He says whatever he needs to say to get what he wants. And sometimes he just rambles because what he wants is to be the center of attention and talk about whatever he wants and have an audience. When it comes to his claiming that he was not going to touch the East Wing, he probably at the time knew it wasn't true, but he's indifferent to that. He knew that he would have to say that so no one would stop him. So this is where we are. This is the other day as they were tearing down the entire East Wing. Now, remember, this is I think what I showed the other day, that this whole, even though the demolition they were saying was just the front of it there, of course, it was the entire East Wing. And to remind you, this is whose photographs are in the East Wing. Now, photographs, paintings, portraits. I don't know where these portraits were moved. Undoubtedly, they were taken down first. Hopefully, they were taken down first. So I can't imagine that would not be the case. So let's listen to Donald Trump talk about this hideous Epstein Ballroom beneath which he is building his big, beautiful bunker. He's not talking about the bunker yet. I like talking about it because I like to show that he's a scaredy cat and not just an egomaniac. Let's go.
The ballroom. I think there'll be nothing like it. And it's being paid for 100% by me and some friends of mine, donors to it. The government's paying Absolutely nothing. We're also working with the military on it because they want to make sure everything's perfect, and the military is very much involved in this. They want to make sure everything is absolutely beautiful. You can see the kind of interiors.
Okay, that is interesting. The military's working on it because they want to make sure it's absolutely perfect. That should be a tell. The military is looking at it, of course. I mean, we care about the exterior structure of the White House, but of course they're looking at it because of the bunker. Now, I want to point something out to you for a second, which is this. And this is really hard to talk about, but I'm going to put this picture up. On 9/11, you may remember, the first tower, the Twin Towers, was hit. And then the second, and we had the Pentagon hit. For me, when the Pentagon was hit, I think I realized this was a real danger to us all. I didn't know when the plane flew into the World Trade Center. I thought maybe. Gosh, this is just so hard to talk about, but I thought maybe this was just a mistake, that someone had gone off track. As soon as I knew about the Pentagon, because I was underground traveling on a train in Boston, so I didn't know about the second one. I just came out of the Green Line and saw a window where there was a television. I was working at Fidelity, but there was also a Fidelity like little investor center, and in the front there was a window, because usually a TV in the window, because people would walk by and see how the market was doing. And what I saw was a picture of the Pentagon, and then I was completely freaked out. But what you might remember that happened next is the flight that was headed to the White House. And you might remember, because hold on one second. I just want to pick that up, the flight number. You all might remember better than I. But there was, flight 93. And this was headed, people didn't know, but we thought it was headed directly to the White House or the Capitol. And people on the plane understood that this was going to happen, and they knew that they were probably going to die anyway. And so the group of Americans on that plane rushed the cabin so that it did not actually hit the White House or the Capitol, right? And we were talking about just a few dozen, maybe it was like 36 or 37 passengers, and some of these men on there decided that they could take over the cabin. Anyhow, the point of this is the plane crashed in a field and did not crash into the White House. Donald Trump has done more to damage the White House and the reputation of the United States than Osama bin Laden ever did. And think about it. His people physically attacked the U.S. Capitol. He has knocked down an entire wing of the White House. No respect. Now I'm going to continue playing him talking.
That we're talking about, that's an interior of the ballroom. And it's the highest level. And you see it goes beautifully with the White House. I mean, the mix is beautiful. So over the years, many presidents have made changes. This obviously would be the biggest change, but this was something they've wanted for at least 150 years.
No one wanted this for 150 years. And let me tell you, the late 80s, early 90s wants their decor back. There is gold all over the White House. This man is tacky as fuck. disgusting and doesn't care about us. Now, while he is doing this, while he is building his big, beautiful bunker and giant Epstein Ballroom, what's happening to the rest of the world? Well, let's look at mothers whose children are torn away from them by ICE.
And I got to work. I got a phone call from work saying that they took my son. He's only 16, and he was violated. They said they slammed him to the ground. I just want my baby back.
There's absolutely no reason to have this kind of chaos happening in our communities, putting people at risk.
ICE has been lying about this, saying that no children have ever been zip tied. And now we find out, yes, children 14 years and up, but not the little ones. What the fuck, you guys? He is spending his time creating his Epstein Ballroom and gilding the whole damn White House. Also remember that Donald Trump is doing a $40 billion bailout for Argentina while our farmers suffer. And this is a video, I've taken the sound off of it, of the president of Argentina and his team doing the Donald Trump jerk-off dance because they're so excited about getting this money. So as this caption says, Argentina, after taking soybeans and beef sales from U.S. farmers and getting $40 billion from Trump. Now, I don't know if this dancing was right after that happened, or this is just when they were dancing because Donald was around. But let me show you again. This far-right idiot president of Argentina who has, oh, right, that's Lara Trump next to him. This far-right president of Argentina, I don't know, again, when he was dancing, but he might as well be dancing and doing that Trump jerk-off dance because he's getting $40 billion. Our children are getting put into zip ties, and the ones who are extremely hungry and at risk are going to have their SNAP benefits cut off because he doesn't care about America. Now, I got more things, but I want to go back to what's really important. We have no leverage over Donald Trump. Yes, members of Congress are asking for communications about the $230 million we mentioned, just so happens to correspond to what this project was supposed to cost that he's demanding because he was investigated by the Department of Justice, right? They're looking into that to figure out, to investigate it. But the only thing that Congress can do to stop Donald Trump is to the House to impeach, the Senate to convict and remove. The reason why we're in the position we're in is because Republican members of the House and Republicans members of the Senate are fine with it. Or let me put it differently. They care more about their short-term careers, saving their jobs and not having the wrath of their donors than they care about American people or this country. They are literally stepping back and watching Donald Trump destroy democracy, engage in extrajudicial killings, rob us of our funds, and be an outright vulgarian convicted felon. They're allowing all of that. Let me just tell you how short-sighted these idiots are. If they got together, if John Thune got together, built a coalition, all he would need would be like a dozen of them-ish, and said, we're going to do this, and said to the rest of the Senate, we're doing it with or without you. So why don't we be unanimous with a plan to convict him? Why don't we go over to Mike Johnson? Like if Mike Johnson cared about the public, why don't they do that? Make a plan. They could have the impeachment, the trial, and the removal pretty quickly. And I think this is the time before he has more of the military on his side. But they care more about themselves. I honestly believed in Trump's first term that they would do something. And when they haven't, I'm doubtful that they will at all now. We have to throw them out of office en masse. Now let's take a look. Okay, so that might be hard to do. So our only leverage point might be, my friends, against these businesses who have promised to fund this monstrosity. We need them to pull their funding. I'm sure they were lied to. Like, this is where, lying actually matters. If donors contributed funds for this ballroom on the pretext of the East Wing not being torn down, not only is that fraud, but that could allow them to rescind, to take back their money. Let me show you who those businesses are.
Won't interfere with the current building. It'll be near it, but not touching it, and pays total respect to the existing building, which I'm the biggest fan of.
Okay. Now, it's probably hard to see all of them. I'm going to play it again. This time I'm going to play it.
Interfere with the current building.
Sorry, without the sound, so we can go slower and I can stop it. So we have Lockheed Martin, Booz Allen Hamilton, the consulting firm, Blackstone CEO Steve Schwarzman, a settlement from Donald Trump's case against YouTube. Oh boy. YouTube, Google, which is a subsidiary of Alphabet, the demolition contractor ASECO LLC, a construction contractor, and so on. There are more names than this. I have them. I'm going to put them on a slide for tomorrow so we can know more about who these businesses are. Now, what is also happening, of course, is Mike Johnson is continuing to refuse to swear in the Grafhala, the representative from Arizona. And I saw someone comment yesterday saying that Heather Cox Richardson told them that the Constitution specifies that the House members get sworn in by House members. I haven't watched, I'm not sure that she said that, because actually the Constitution, Article 6, is silent on who should administer the oath. Nothing in the Constitution gives that power to the Speaker himself. The oath just must be administered. I'm not sure why another member of the House doesn't just swear her in. It is a tradition right now that they do that. I think the reason why she is demanding that he do it is because of legitimacy. We don't want anyone to say this is not legitimate. There is this lawsuit. I think one thing I would want to do is, if it were me, get a declaratory judgment, get an opinion from a federal court as to whether he's the only person under the Constitution who has this power. I'm not sure why that is not being done. I can understand why you want it a controlled system, because you don't want me to say I was elected to that seat and get someone to swear me in, right? You need, obviously, the oath to be administered by someone who has legitimate authority. So we'll see where that goes. But again, the Constitution doesn't specify. This is a tradition in the House. But let's look at—
she was interested in meeting.
Let's look at what Mike Johnson has to say when he's confronted by this. He's still on his bullshit.
She has said that she was interested in meeting with you and sitting down with you. Is that something that you'd be willing to do? We're going to have her coming up on the show in just a few moments.
I'm always open to meet with any member of the House. I'm the Speaker of the House, and we'll do that. I've been a little busy. I'm working about 22-hour days right now. But I would like for her to do important work and engage in that as soon as possible. And we've tried to, my staff's working with hers, trying to get them up and running. And we're doing everything we do for any new rep-elect in a special election. All of this is totally and completely the standard practice of the House.
Okay. He's been busy. He has time to come on CNN, to show up in that newsroom and wait for his hit. It's absolutely BS. These people are shameless. And as we know, he does not want her to be sworn in because she represents the 218th vote, what they need for the discharge petition to demand the full Epstein files. Epstein files, Epstein Ballroom, all of it. Now, I want to remind you again, just one last thing, what Donald Trump thinks about America. He thinks the same thing about America that he thinks about the East Wing. He wants to be a dictator and authoritarian who can have other wealthy people around him that he can dominate and play games with. And this is who he is. He doesn't care, and this is the evidence.
What do you have to say to
You've
U.S.
seen this,
farmers
let's
who
watch.
feel that the deal is benefiting Argentina more than it is them, as
Look,
they are
Argentina's fighting for its life, young lady. You don't know anything about it. They're fighting for their life. Nothing's benefiting Argentina. They're fighting for their life. You understand what that means? They have no money. They have no anything. They're fighting so hard to survive. If I can help them survive in a free world, I happen to like the president of Argentina. I think he's trying to do the best he can.
So this isn't working well for him. We have some far-right pundits who are like, F you, telling the U.S. on top of this $40 billion bailout that we should be buying Argentinian beef. No one's loving it. Okay, a little more from Donald at the White House.
5 engines on the back of the boat. You know, you don't need that to go fishing. Wait. And we will hit them very hard when they come in by land. And they haven't experienced that yet, but now we're totally prepared to do that. We'll probably go back to Congress and explain exactly what we're doing when we come to the land. We don't have to do that, but I think, Marco, I'd like to do that. You may respond to that if you want.
Yeah, well, I mean, the question is...
Did you hear that? Donald Trump wants to engage in extrajudicial killings of people he deems without any due process to be drug traffickers on land. What he is doing right now by sea, now they've moved over to the Pacific. Remember the other day when they bombed a ship and there were 2 survivors? And they want us to believe that these are the most dangerous narco-terrorists in the world, but they let these guys go. Why? They don't want any of the truth coming out. If these were really dangerous people, they should have been indicted. This is a problem. He is doing what he said he would do. He admired Duterte. Do you remember this? When, once I'm having, my battery is about to, 1 second, guys. Sorry, a little reel behind the scenes. My battery is about to die, my computer. Remember Duterte? When he was, his philosophy was, this is the previous president of the Philippines. And now I believe he is a mayor. When he was president of the Philippines, he prided himself on taking people who were accused of being drug dealers or drug users and throwing them out of airplanes and stuff like that. This is someone Donald Trump admires. This is a huge problem. Everything he is doing around this. Let's listen to what Marco Rubio had to say.
Drug boats. If people want to stop seeing drug boats blow up, stop sending drugs to the United States.
But does it matter if it's in the United States?
Well, these are all in international waters. The boat.
Do a strike in the United States, or if North America?
Well, that's a different matter. Now you're talking about a law enforcement matter. In this particular.
So his view is, Rubio thinks it's a law enforcement matter if you have drug dealers in the United States. But in international waters, he says it's not. But we're not at war with these nations, right? They cannot keep their story straight. Okay. So there are 2, let's talk about some legal cases. Apparently the author Michael Wolff is suing Melania Trump because she has been trying to interfere in his research for his next book. And according to what I have read about this, Melania apparently is strongly very opposed to the Epstein files coming out. And of course, Michael Wolff is the person who has previously said that the first time Donald Trump and Melania had sex was on Jeff Epstein's plane. That makes her very unhappy, no doubt. And Michael Wolff has previously implied that Melania was not really a fashion model, but was really more of a nude model, which you can't really argue that much with, because all the photos I've seen of her were not clad well or without clothes on when she first came to the States. And this upsets her. And so apparently he's gone to court to try to stop her from interfering with his next book. Also, on the legal front, there are two cases over in the Ninth Circuit, which deals with, I would just basically say the federal courts are sort of on the west coast of the United States. I can actually show you a map. There are two cases making their way up through the Ninth Circuit and eventually to the Supreme Court. And both of these cases, here we go. Let's look at the maps. I'm going to visit this. Okay, I'm going to share this map with you so you can see what we're looking at. I'm sure you probably often hear about the different circuits, but let's show you this. Okay, so this is just happens to be a map of all the circuit courts. And you can see here that the Ninth Circuit, as I said, was sort of the west side of the country. It deals with appeals from the federal district courts from all those states in yellow. And the important ones here are California and Oregon. You can also see your own circuit depending on where you live here. Now, there are two cases that are coming up through the Ninth Circuit involving the National Guard, in one case being put into Portland, the other case Los Angeles and other parts of California. And what's confusing about these two cases is that, for example, the California case had something just about the injunction, either trying to keep the National Guard out from being federalized, just the injunction. And then there's the so-called merits case, right? So there's several things coming up, and it can kind of be confusing what's going on. So far, California is not doing well in the Ninth Circuit at this moment, at least on one branch of their cases, but it's possible because the facts are a little bit better. In the Oregon case, they might be doing better. California is asked to intervene in the Oregon case. So all I'm saying is, if you're reading about this, this is still unclear where this is going to land. Ultimately, I think we're going to be up in the Supreme Court on this question about federalizing the National Guard and putting them into states. Now, the big picture here, though, as we've talked about before, Donald Trump doesn't like fighting these things in court, and he would rather invoke the Insurrection Act. And I would expect that he is planning to do that, as we have discussed. Okay, now with that, I think we need a little Crazy Town. Oh, before Crazy Town, I want to tell you, my friend, you've heard of Joyce Vance, has a new book that came out on Tuesday called Giving Up is Unforgivable, a manual for keeping a democracy. Joyce is on a physical book tour, and she is making the rounds. And we want to do a live show, not a pre-taped one. And when she's in Alabama, she's an hour earlier. So we are trying to figure out when to fit in a live show. I'll let you know when I know. Given what's going on with her right now, I think I want to lay off and not make a demand. And I think we'll probably see her in November. And in the meantime, I will read her book. And I don't want you to think I am ignoring it, but I'd rather just focus on it when Joyce is on the show. Now, with that, let us go to Crazy Town. I've got a double scoop of Crazy Town. First, I want to share with you the ridiculous AI-generated campaign ad that Andrew Cuomo put out to slam Zohran Mamdani. Now, keep in mind that this came out and then he retracted it. He not like saying I retracted, but they posted it and then they took it down. And this happens around yesterday, the same day there was another debate, and Mamdani did extremely well in that debate. But I want to show you this hideous AI video, which brings up racist tropes, is offensive, and acts as if Mamdani is a supporter of sexual assault when it is Cuomo who actually had to resign, right, from being his position as governor because of these credible accusations. Let's play this.
Mamdani's opponents want you to believe he's an inexperienced radical whose policies will make New York City more dangerous. But what do his actual supporters think?
Mamdani isn't crazy.
He's just trying to even the playing field.
You know, give everyone a fair shot. Sure, he said multiple times we need to defund the police, but that was just a metaphor.
And yes, he did say crime is a social construct. But that was also a metaphor.
His main backer, the Democratic Socialists' ideas are common sense, such as
decriminalizing misdemeanors, like shoplifting. Third-degree assault.
Can you believe this?
trespassing, prostitution,
and drunk driving.
With plans to decriminalize all drugs. Mamdani.
Okay, I'm not showing you anymore. That is utter crazy town. And it is so disgusting. Let me just add, I know there are people that I know who are sitting silently planning to vote for Andrew Cuomo. And in my heart, you are dead to me. No, I'm kidding. In my heart, I think I would never trust you with my life. I would never trust you about anything because you're either brainwashed or you're racist or you don't care about women or all you care about is your money. I don't get it. And this is why we have a kleptocratic authoritarian presidency, because of people like you. I'm just looking right at you if you are a voter. Okay, for Cuomo. Now, let me now give you your second scoop of crazy town. Donald Trump trying to talk about water drugs.
And drug usage is way down, and drug usage coming from the sea, they call it ocean drugs.
Hold on. First, he's saying just because of his 5 or 6 murderous attacks on drug boats traveling through both now the Atlantic or the Caribbean, I guess, and now the Pacific, he's claiming that drug use is way down. Based on what data? Okay, let's play it. I won't interrupt.
And drug usage is way down, and drug usage coming from the sea, they call it ocean drugs, a little term that they use, the ocean drugs, is very close to non-existent right now. I wouldn't want to be in one of those boats heading away. You know, they're driving happily to destroy the lives of people, and they end up, that's the end of them. So the ocean drugs and the sea drugs, drugs by sea they call it also, that's almost down to nothing, as you can imagine. So they continue to come in by land at a little bit less because they see something is going to happen. They don't like it. They see something, and they're right. Something very serious is going to happen. The equivalent of what's happening by sea. And we're going to Congress just to tell them what.
If you want to end crazy town, you need to throw out all of the Republicans from Congress. Not one of them should stay in elected office. Part of the movement, and there will be more protests in the streets, is to get people to show up at the ballot box. It is essential. It's on us to show up and vote them out, period. I will see you tomorrow morning. Have a wonderful Thursday night.
Hello, prison mates. It's the Gen Talk Show. Well, welcome everyone. Let's learn about what is happening in politics yesterday and today. like we are together. In this democracy we work for. And again, welcome to the Jen Taub Show.